Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jack. Back again to bring you the 732 guide update for Disciplined Priest. Everything you need to know about the upcoming Antorus raid in terms of gear and playstyle changes that will be coming up right about today. Starting off, I wanted to talk about the different gear options that we're going to be having. I go over this in a little bit more, I went over this in more of a general sense with the early trinket video, but I wanted to go over these really quick, talking about the ones that you want to be looking out for specifically for Disciplined Priest. At this point right now, you should basically have Velens and Owl, which is the Tarnished Sentinel Medallion from Sisters of the Moon from Tomb of Sargeras. Those two trinkets going forward will actually be incredibly useful and will actually have some very good longevity. Like, you're always going to be running with Velens, for example, as a Disciplined Priest. Whereas with the Owl trinket, the Tarnished Sentinel Medallion, you're going to be probably using that for quite a long time, unless you're getting some crazy high eye-level options, and we're going to talk about that and maybe even some specific niche scenarios, all right, where you'll be replacing it. So, starting it off, Amanthal's Vision. This has insane eye level, has insane stat distribution, and it's the wild card proc. I had incorrectly stated in my trinket video about the way the Pantheon trinkets actually proc. It has to be one of each type of trinket procs in order for the Pantheon buff to go into everybody, right? Amanthal's functions as a wild card, so you could have, one tank, one melee, one ranged, and instead of a healer trinket, you have the Amanthals, which fills in for that. Or you could have 4 Amanthals that are proccing that'll be all wild cards of their own, right? So this is not only immensely useful for just increasing your own HPS and things like that, but it also helps your raids that they're actually going to be able to have functional Pantheon trinkets if you're going to be the only other one to fill them out there. So keep that in mind. This is also really hard to get. From what we understand, it's a personal loot drop off of Argus. So good luck. Carafe of Searing Light. A lot of people were talking about this, and many people were kind of drooling over it. I think it's a little bit overhyped, and I may have kind of hyped it up a little bit too much previously, or maybe even on my stream. But in reality, because the damage it deals over time is actually just such a long period, you're not able to really line it up with situations where you'd like to. The times of having 18 seconds of constant damage where you have lots and lots of atonements out, where that damage can translate into really good healing, is really, really niche. If the damage duration was reduced, if it was cut in half, if it was made 8 or 9 seconds, something like that, then it would be a much more powerful trinket. Just if they changed where the damage was dealt, it would be more powerful. But as it stands right now, the way that the trickle damage kind of goes out, it's not bad, but it's a lot more niche. If you're in really long encounter and you're still struggling with mana after having maybe a Wisdom or Innervate, and you're using Shield Discipline, things like that, then this is an option that you can pull out of your hat to be able to take advantage of. A&R's Compassion, the Pantheon trinkets, like we were talking about, with the Pantheon trinkets, just by you wearing this, you can be helping other members of your raid make sure they fill out the proc. The actual effect of it is not really amazing for Disc, but it's okay. If you steadily upgrade this over time and it starts dwarfing the eye level of your other trinkets by large margins, maybe you could see some use, but this is not something that's going to be a definite target or anything like that for Disciplined Priests going into Antorus. The Vitality Resonator here, this is something that people in the comments definitely brought up of, how great it can be on ad-specific encounters. And being able to have an ad spawn at full HP, you use this on them, you're getting the maximum intellect boost possible, then you're translating that into big ramp up, big damage, big healing. Amazing. You top the meters, right? I like this a lot. It also, and it does have niche scenarios where it can be good. So again, this is another trinket where specific fights, it can be really powerful. It's a little bit higher maintenance to be finding the target, hitting the right target, getting the maximum buff possible, but it does reward good planning and good skill in terms of knowing which ad to target and planning out your movement a little bit more often, right? This trinket also kind of competes with the trinket I had actually left out because I wanted to get a little bit more information on it before I had talked about it, the Terminus Signaling Beacon, right? This is basically a damage trinket, which can be working extremely well for Discipline, also on AoE fights. So the difference between this and like Vitality Resonator is that you would be looking for a fight with Vitality Resonator where ads might be a little bit more spread out, but there's very clearly defined burst windows. And I mean, clearly defined burst windows is ideal for Disc no matter what, right? But if you're having the ads a little bit more spread out, and you're not able to get a lot of small ads packed in together or something along those lines, it's a little bit of the difference between an occasional ad spawn and having like 10 or 12 ads grouped up at once, all shuffled in here right next to each other, right? So you'll see something like Determinus, where if you can get lots of ads in together, it can quickly just spike out of control. And, you know, this is really their first attempt at having an AoE damage trinket that's really powerful on an on-use effect for Discipline to really play with. So it'll be very interesting to see, and this is something that I would definitely recommend pursuing to take advantage of on ad-based fights there. So definitely keep an eye out for both of those and the situations that they can be really, really powerful. And going into set bonuses here, of course, the 2-piece for Discipline is going to be reducing the cooldown that you're going to be having on Power Gradients. So you'll be able to mix that in a little bit more frequently. And of course, you're getting more and more damage out from Penance thanks to the 4-piece, which is giving you a damage increase to your Penance after you cast Powered Radiance, right? This does kind of encourage, and at face value, it looks like it encourages you to be casting Powered Radiance, then Penance, then Powered Radiance, then Penance, but this is generally not what you're going to be going for. You can see this, maybe in some limited situations where there's a little bit of damage coming out, and you know that you don't need both your Powered Radiance charges for a while before your Evangelism comes back, but generally speaking, you're going to be using your Powered Radiance charges together. You will 100% always be doing it for your Evangelisms, and then it kind of depends on the damage that's going to be going out, how frequent it's going to be, how limited it's going to be, things like that. So if you're going to be having a situation where there's going to be small damage spikes here and there that you're not quite sure the targets that they're going to be going out on, you could see this as something like Kill Jaden with Armageddons, where sometimes there's a couple people that have dots on them and there's not really anything to do in between, so you just cast Power Radiance once, hit a Penance, they're topped off, and you're good to go. But you might also have situations like Mistress Sazine, where the entire party or entire group is going to be taking raid-wide damage every single time. That could be a situation where you'd want to be ideally using Powered Radiance cast together. That way you're going to be getting full coverage on the entire group, or almost all the group there, and getting them topped off very rapidly, right? So keep in mind the different scenarios that they're going to be there, but generally speaking, you're going to be casting both Powered Radiances together, and you're going to want to be pairing it up with Tiers 20's 2-piece. You're going to want to hold on to Tier 20 2-piece generally for quite a while. The extra damage that you're getting off the first tick of Penance, now that they've finally fixed it again, is going to be extremely useful, especially for healing up big burst of damage. You're getting, increased damage overall just from your 4-piece from Tier 21, but also the first tick is usually the big decider, right? When you're able to push people's health pools up really, really quickly, really makes a big difference, and can be the difference between keeping people alive and dead. It also adds tons and tons of extra damage, so if you're ever fighting up against a DPS check, that's something that can be really, really helpful as well. And it also is very helpful for more bursty encounters as you're going forward, that you're able to quickly reverse that kind of damage and deal with it really nicely. So you're going to be running with T20 2-piece, Tier 21 4-piece. Make it a priority to get the new tier as fast as you possibly can. Get that on, get rolling with it, and then again, you have all these different trinket options that are going to be available to you. Thankfully, in Antorus, you're going to be actually having some really good relic options to get from the raid instance, unlike Tomb of Sargeras. So pursuing ANR's Holy Relic and the Fellhound's Shadow Relic are going to be the ways to go. Getting after those Confession Relic traits, and really just boosting your damage further and further with Penance, because it's just going to get better and better this raid instance. Last thing I wanted to talk about, of course, is going to be legendaries. While there is the new legendary that increases the value of your Crucible traits, or your Crucible bonus traits, those are the Tier 2s. It's not going to be your artifact traits that you're used to. It's going to be the side effects, the little extra tiny bonus effects. Well, there's that. That's really not going to be in the equation. It's generally, you're always going to be running with Velens. That's a given in raid environment. But the debate, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it, between Soul the High Priest and running with Pride As, right? And even though Soul the High Priest does give you Twist of Fate, technically, you're basically going to be running Twist of Fate anyway in raid progression. So it's more of a question between running Castigation or running with Pride As. And a lot of times it's the personal survivability that you're getting out of Pride As. The effect of making sure you have extra shielding on yourself at all times, the extra protection. And it's also Castigation's extra damage, which is great on big damage checks. You have Castigation's extra damage that you're pumping out, which will be resulting in more healing to the raid as a whole, not just extra healing to you like Pride As would give you, but it's also, more damage that can be very, very useful for dealing with certain ads on some specific ad-based fights. It could be really helping out quite a bit on any kind of big damage checks that you're going after. And it really just depends on what the raid needs. If you're going to be constantly getting value out of that 4th pen stick, then go for it, because you're going to be constantly seeing some extra value that'll be, keeping the entirety of the raid topped off, right? If you're in a raid encounter with very high burst damage, that's more individual in nature and that you're going to need some survivability for. We saw that with Veramathras, where having extra shielding can really help out quite a bit. Maybe that might be an option for you or other people in the raid, but specifically, you want to be looking at what is going to be happening all around you and what does the raid need as a result of that, right? So for me, my plan so far is going to be starting with Velens and Soul the High Priest. If I'm really worried about survivability for myself, then I might switch to Pride as. But so far, the extra damage and the extra raid healing that's going to provide is what I'm going to be running with. But if you have either of them, they're both excellent options. I think it's going to be it'll come out of which is going to be consistently higher HPS as we're going further into it, because Pride as, of course, is based off your max HP, and we're about to be increasing our health pools quite a bit with new gear. But it's always something to kind of consider. Thanks so much for watching, guys. The 7.3.2 guide update for Discipline. Let me know if you guys have any other kind of questions or comments about any of the updates we have here. Be sure to check out, of course, my written guides on Wowhead for any more extensive lists and things like that for specific jewelry that you can be pursuing, other things like that. And if you want to check out the live stream, we're going to be streaming all of our progression, both Heroic and Mythic. Our raid schedule is Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out. Be sure to check out the live stream linked in the description below. Until then, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all next time.